Hi everyone, I'm Michelle Fabre. I'm from Long Island, New York, and I'm 24 years old. I'm a singer-songwriter, and you can find me on Spotify, Apple Music, and all the other streaming platforms under Michelle Fabre. I'm on Facebook under Michelle Fabre, Instagram Michelle_Fabre, Twitter Michelle A Fabre, and you can check out my website, which has everything else, under michellefabre.com. I love to leave. Yeah, I love to leave behind a lot of great songs. I think that have like a lot of longevity. That's a note to your point, even about Michael Jackson and all the other artists, Prince, and so on. They all have songs that are still here, and they all have longevity, And I feel like that's something I want my songs to be listened to and me to be talked about as a singer, 25 years down the line.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
would say my goal is for my songs and my career to have like longevity for sure.
yeah. If you could go back in time, would you do anything different for your music career?
Hmm, that's a good question. I don't know if I would do anything different. Um, I'm not sure. There are certain things in certain songs that specifically I may have been a little bit different. There's certain times when I listen to some songs of mine and I'm like, maybe I would have slowed it down a bit. Maybe I would have done something a little bit different here and there. But in a way, how would I have learned from it too? So.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think has been the best advice your father has given you for your music career thus far? Because I'm sure he has a lot more to tell you.
Yeah. So two things probably mainly. Singing wise, it's always been to sing with feeling and attitude. He's always taught me that. I guess because he loves also soul, and he's always had an appreciation for soul music, like even jazz. He's gotten me into that recently, as far as singing like swing. Um, I believe Ella Fitzgerald. I've just been singing "Can't Take That Away from Me." So he's been a big believer in always teaching me how to sing with attitude, soul, and feeling. But also, as far as like music, my music career goes, he's taught me to that one. It's definitely not easy. It's going to come with a lot of ups and downs, but to hang in there, and when you put out great material too, it may not be up someone's alley. It may not be their taste, but that it's great work, and it definitely gets some appreciation for it, whether it's now or even in like a few months or so. It'll get recognized. So him and I are both pretty hard like perfectionists, so we kind of go above and beyond to put out great work too. You know.
Yeah. Are you enjoying the warmer weather?
Yes, I am. I'm really enjoying it actually, even though I'm stuck inside working on music.
Well, do you actually want to say it that way that you're stuck inside? Because I'm assuming you love music.
I do love music. I do. I just feel like a hermit sometimes because of it. That's okay. It's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. But is that your best creativity to kind of like stick yourself inside and not move or go anywhere?
I feel like I have a lot of experience to write about. So, I mean, sometimes it's good to kind of like reflect a bit. And for me, that sometimes means like staying inside, or sometimes like taking and getting my thoughts together. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How often do you write? Do you write every day, or because I would hate for you to be stuck inside every day?
No, I don't write every. It really depends. It's good to kind of like, if I get ideas, kind of spur of the moment, I'll build off of that. Anything could kind of like come from, like, any song title or song lyrics can kind of come from like everyday experience. So sometimes I get an idea and I instantly like want to build off of it. So
Yeah, yeah. Is that how you came up with laugh, laugh, laugh? Or three
yes,
laughs actually? Laugh, laugh, laugh. Yeah.
actually, that is. I had come up with the title first, and then my dad, who is my audio engineer, and his friend, who's a keyboardist, he played on the song as well and did some backup vocals for it. We all just kind of like came up with the lyrics and kind of a storyline for it.
Yeah.
storyline kind of came after the title.
Well, who wrote the hook? Because the hook is really catchy.
We all actually wrote it together. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, when you say all of you wrote it together, what you kind of wrote some stuff on it, was like, hey, Dad, what you think about this?
Exactly. I come up with ideas, whether it's like even on GarageBand, I'll come up with beats and he'll like work off of it and build off of what I have. So that kind of works out to have that.
So you're in the pop lane currently.
Yes.
Is that where you want to be, or do you see yourself like maybe country western? I don't know, some indie rock.
I see myself in pop because I also feel like my music has pretty good like crossover potential. I don't think it kind of like reaches a few different audiences, which I like. It has a little bit of rock, a little bit of R&B, a little bit of country. So
Hmm.
it has all those. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, when you were growing up, who did you listen to? Like, who were you inspired by?
I love Santana.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love Janis Joplin, Amy Winehouse, The Temptations, The Bee Gees, Ray Charles.
yeah, yeah.
All over the place a bit. But in today's music, I like Dua Lipa, Halsey, Shawn Mendes, a little bit of Justin Bieber. So
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are not on my show. People are like maybe 3 out of 10 that like Dua Lipa. I like Dua Lipa.
really,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
surprising to me because yeah, I really love her music. I feel like she definitely came about like big this year when
That's
she
right.
yeah, it was like very disco dance orientated, and I really liked that about it. So
Yeah. Well, but I guess what I will say is, so let me take that back. It's not that they don't like Dua Lipa. I think they more so like Ariana Grande more than they like Dua Lipa.
wow, that's interesting.
So
I could,
you can see
I'm,
that?
I'm a fan of both of them. So
Okay. What do you think makes a good song? Like, what's attractive about Levitate with Dua Lipa? Like, is it the bass line? Is it the hook? Like, what components are thrown in it to make that perfect cocktail?
it's definitely the bass line. Also, in her song "Don't Start Now," I think that was the biggest one that had such a great bass line. And also, it's definitely the hooks. I think that the her music in general is more musical to me. So I feel like I like that about it. I like that it has like a few different instruments on it, and it's just like a fuller production. Very danceable too. So
Yeah, absolutely. Are you trying to mimic that somewhat? Are you trying to make sure you kind of have a dance component to your music?
question. I feel like I get ideas a little bit, but I wouldn't want to say that I like mimic her specifically or her style. I think she definitely brought back like the disco 70s a bit, like a lot of those elements from back then. So I feel like a lot of people tell me that my music sounds like the 80s. I've been hearing it, I must have heard it at least like 35 times since I've been releasing music.
When did it start for you? Like, were you kind of like you were born with a guitar in your hand or a microphone in your hand?
Definitely a microphone for sure. I started singing at 4 years old when I did my first Eskimo Pie commercial slash jingle.
Hmm.
So I did that, and then I've been basically singing my entire life, doing jingles, commercials, some musical theater a little bit, but I'm not so much into that. I'm more into like pop and rock. So
Yeah. Do you ever get I don't want to say burned out, but do you ever have times where you feel like you need to take a break from music?
I kind of took a short break after high school when I got into college a bit. I was studying psychology and I got into a 3 year relationship actually living with someone. So basically a lot of my goals were kind of like pushed aside. So finally at the end of the relationship, I kind of decided to get back into music and start working on my music, my songs, and creating an image for myself. So that kind of helped me give me like an incentive to not only get out of that relationship but focus on myself, my goals, and yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
definitely get a little bit burnt out though sometimes. More like punchy from working
Yeah.
on a song for too long too. That's another big issue that I think a lot of artists and even producers face,
Hmm.
to like kind of go from song to song, because when you're working on one song you lose your perspective a lot of the time. So that is something that happens.
Yeah. Well, what kind of feedback have you gotten so far from your music?
So I've gotten a lot of great feedback. A lot of people really, I feel like they love the hooks on a lot of my songs. I'm not sure if you got a chance to listen to the rest of my songs
I
other than,
did. I did. I'm coming out. Yeah.
yes. So
Hmm.
a lot of people, I think that they really like different, maybe you could say like music, or maybe they, like more musical music. I think that's why, as I was saying before, I think that Dua Lipa has had such big success this year because her music it reaches like a wide audience, which I think that my music does as well. So yeah, I mean, and like I said, I've been hearing a lot of the '80s sounds,
Yeah.
and which is okay because the weekend, also he does a lot of '80s sounds, especially with a lot of his newest songs and everything. So,
Yeah. Well, I heard you say earlier that you kind of do your tracks. Does anybody else help you out with tracks?
well, my dad is the one who pretty much does the tracks. He builds all. If I have like any ideas, like I released my second single, "Find Your Fire." I came up with the beat and everything on GarageBand and some of the instruments, but he kind of like he does all the productions and everything. Because of yeah, you're right, and because of that, he definitely tries to listen to today's music a lot, and he definitely incorporates like some elements from those eras as well. I could say he definitely does like a little bit, but I think he definitely like listens to today's top hits and kind of knows what's going on in each genre and everything, and yeah.
When you and him are actually are you actually in the studio at the same time, or you just come to you say, "Hey, Michelle, like, do you like this beat?" Or how does that work?
So a lot of the times I am in the studio. Sometimes though I don't want to be like on top of him because I'll get like too nitpicky. Like he'll be trying some things out and I'll be like right there, like
Mhm.
I mean, so I definitely feel like I try to give him some space too, so that I'm not annoyingly like on top of him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like I said, I definitely have like a say. I'm not one of those people who just sits kind of back and lets like the producer. I definitely have like a creative musical, mindset. So
Yeah, absolutely. So when did you actually start recording in the booth? I know you started singing when you were 4, but when did you make the transition? Like, okay, now I'm going to start like writing the song and then actually making the actual full, I don't know, 32 bars or whatever you decide to make.
so I think it sometimes varies for each song. Like for example, I'm working on a new song now, and we didn't really get the second verse right away, but I just put like a scratch on it just to have it and kind of build off of that.
Hmm.
Kind of varies for each song, with everything. Even the creative process is so different for each song.
Yeah, yeah. Was going into the booth, was that like the first time you went into the recording booth? Was that difficult?
That's an interesting question. So for my music or just in general? Because when I started singing, like when I was young, I think it got me more acclimated to the booth and not being like so, scary, so to speak. For my music, it kind of was, I'm like a perfectionist, so I definitely wanted it to be perfect. Something that kind of like happened throughout my musical career, though, from the first song that I released, Coming Out, until now. Kind of when I think I released Find Your Fire or Talk to Me, I quit smoking actually. So it definitely enhanced my voice. And I know some people have like that raspy, hoarse sound. For me, I just don't think it worked out that well. So when I quit smoking, I had a bigger range. And not only that, it was just like a cleaner sound. So that definitely, I think when I was smoking, I was so self conscious about certain things and singing in the booth sometimes. So it's definitely enhanced my confidence.
Yeah. Well, do you see the change or the growth from the first song you wrote and recorded to where you are now?
Yes, definitely. Um, I definitely feel like also at the time it's so different because like also I was going through kind of a breakup or trying to go into that breakup part of my life, and I feel like it was a harder time. So in a way, it was also easier sometimes to sing certain songs after like experiencing certain things too. So because I'm a believer that like you have to believe what you sing and you have to feel it. You're not gonna get into that emotion if you don't really feel it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So what's the goal for you? Like where you want to be?
So my goal is to keep writing music and singing and recording and just keep pushing and hopefully seeing where that takes me, because each opportunity kind of like leads to another. It seems like more doors keep opening the more that you keep pushing. So I'd like to see where it takes me for sure.
Yeah. What do you think is best for you? You think the indie route is best for you or signing to a record label?
I would love to be signed to a record label for sure. I think I would love for my music to also reach like the masses, so to speak. I think that would be like my ultimate goal.
Yeah. What's your demographic now? I know you do pop, but who do you think are your most fans? Is it young ladies, young men, kids? What?
That's a good question. So I would. That's so hard because I feel like I have a lot of people my age. I'm 24 years old, so a lot of people my age. A lot of, I would say, like a lot of guys.
Well, you're 24. You say mostly guys, or
Say guys, a lot of guys, and I would say also like young and old. My cousins, they were in the Coming Out video, and they happened to be teachers, so they kind of showed it to their students who were younger, and they were all dancing to my music. But then again, adults like it too. So that's what I like about my music, and I think it's good because it reaches such a wide audience range from different genres. I've noticed like there's a lot of people who are not into today's pop music, and they just don't listen to it. But they can kind of, there's certain artists that they will listen to, including myself, and they'll appreciate it, they'll like it. So that's good to hear.
yeah. Well, speaking of that, in your videos, you always have this choreography going on. How did you convince these people to get in your video?
That's so funny. Well, did you watch the Find Your Fire video?
I did, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
That video specifically was actually choreographed by my dad's friend. She's an incredible choreographer and dancer. Her name is Judine Somerville. She was in Hairspray on Broadway, and she's a choreographer at the Alvin Ailey School, the dance school in the city. So it's a pretty big dance school, and I've gone to a few of her shows and classes. And basically, I said to her, can you choreograph a dance for this video? And she came up with like also just so many ideas aside from it. She's very creative, and we got some dancers as well. They were awesome to work with, and just so it was a nice like vibe, a nice setting. We did it in the city, so that was nice.
Yeah.
It was at Hudson River Park, I believe, that we went to.
Yeah. Listen. I think you've done a good job, thus far with everything that you've attempted to do.
Thank you so much. They really.
Yeah. Who actually has been doing your camera work for you, your cinematography?
So I'm actually a videographer.
Ah, okay.
That definitely helps, like some expenses too.
Yeah. Mhm.
So my dad filmed the Coming Out video. I edited that. For Find Your Fire, my dad filmed that as well as my friend Nicole. I edited it. And then for the Laugh, Laugh, Laugh video, I kind of wanted to put it into someone else's hands, so to speak. And I had this video production company, Simon and Tara, and they did an excellent job, I think, on it. They really captured the storyline and just like the whole like summer vibe. So that was nice to
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
someone else for a change too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Are you open? I know your father does a lot of your work. Are you open to collabing with somebody else?
Oh yes, definitely. I think I'm definitely open to it. I definitely sometimes I'm selective about it as far as just working with anyone in general, whether it's like a different artist, a musician, a rapper, or a producer. I like them to kind of showcase me, you could say, in like my my best performance, so to speak. You know, so that's the other thing too. But I'm definitely open to it. I mean, I would love to even like work with Mark Ronson. He's
Oh yeah. Oh, he's really good. He's really good. Yeah.
really, so I
Yeah.
would definitely be open to different producers as well.
Yeah. Has anybody reached out to you thus far?
Some producers that, like I would say, like are local, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah.
I would definitely be open though to like working with a big producer. That would be like an ultimate goal too. If any of them ever reached out to me, specifically him, if he's watching this.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I know, I found your stuff on Facebook. Has anybody from the Facebook group other than myself kind of reached out to you to collab on anything?
No, actually, not really, to be honest, which is kind of nice. I mean, maybe in the past when I first released Coming Out, maybe a few people had at the time, but that's the thing too. Like, I feel I'm always open. Like, I'm even right now, kind of looking for rappers to potentially be on one of my songs. I do feel like sometimes when you work with people, they bring out your best and you bring out their best, or vice versa.
Yeah, yeah,
My
absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm a
Yeah,
little selective sometimes about who I do work with, just because I feel like we have to bring out the best in each other, and if I don't feel like I'm bringing out the best in them, and vice versa, it just
yeah, yeah. Well, absolutely, absolutely. Now, is songwriting? Do you think it's hard?
yes, sometimes. I do. I'm always looking up like rhymes too. That's my biggest thing.
Yeah.
Or even like I don't know, reading a dictionary, for example. Sometimes I try to go through a dictionary and like write down some keywords that I'll remember and that I may need down the line. It's definitely hard though sometimes, but it's also very creative. Like it's a very creative process, and I'll just give you like some I don't know some not like tips, but something that I'm kind of like working on right now. I'm working on a song called "You Stole My Makeup."
Okay. Okay.
Definitely
Yeah.
an title, and it came about because I had like a few friends over, and I had makeup out, and I just had like a feeling. I didn't accuse this girl, but I have a feeling that this one girl took my makeup.
Yeah.
Kind of just came about, like that's how it just like the song title just instantly kind of came to me. So we've been working on that song, and I think it's a little bit more dance orientated than any of my other songs. So
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me the industry. What do you think about the industry? And it's a very broad question. Like, do you think the industry is a good place to be? Is it has a lot of challenges or what?
well, the music industry definitely has a lot of challenges. I think definitely for sure. I think that you have to love music, and you have to have a passion for it, because it comes with a lot of ups, downs, and uncertainty as well. I think also to add on to that, like my dad never pushed me to be in it because he knew that too. He did a lot of jingles, commercials, and a lot of national spots, but he kind of has done a lot of singers and artist work too in their production. So he never enforced it on me or like wanted to be a stage dad, so to speak. It was me that kind of got back into it, and you know,
Mhm,
knows it
mhm.
comes with a lot of that. So you have to love it, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, if you weren't doing music, do you know what else you would be doing?
I was studying psychology in the beginning, but I personally love music, and I feel like I can always go back to school and kind of, finish that. But I feel like now is like the time to break in, hopefully, into the music industry, and also help people through my music with, even like with mental illness, and just like, everyday problems that people have to deal with. I think I've always been one who really wanted to help people, specifically with mental illness, and kind of like bring about any experiences that I have to help others through my music too, and potentially like doing fundraisers and anything just to like bring awareness.
Yeah. Well, what do you think what about music do you think draws you into music?
that's that's so hard. I feel like I love also like seeing live bands and live like singers in concert too. That's kind of what I think drew me in at first. I can't say I've gone to too many concerts, unfortunately, but just seeing even like live performances, you know, that's always kind of drawn me in, and how you could get the crowd going as well. So
Mhm.
that's something that I've always like loved to potentially do. I do a lot of gigs and performances, but to really open up even for like a big name act is something that I'm looking into as well, because I would love to perform in front of like a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, do you get stage fright?
Not anymore. Not anymore. I had a few gigs lined up before COVID hit, and then afterwards, when I finally got back into it, I was a little bit like tentative, a little bit, but then I got back into it, and it's funny. I would rather sing in front of a lot of people than maybe even speak in front of a lot of people.
Really? Okay. Okay. All right. Well, what is that feeling like if you can describe it, like being on stage for you?
Oh my goodness. So I'm always looking at, the audience's face
Yeah.
or their reaction. And even like when I'm singing or speaking, I want to see what they react to. And I'll kind of like build off of that or not do it in the future. So
Mhm.
these kind of things, I try to look to them. I try to sing to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That actually helps. It kind of gets my mind off of it and their mind off of, looking at me so much. They laugh, they smile when you sing to them.
Yeah. 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 What do you think thus far? What do you think has been your best song?
Hmm. I would have to say I love Talk to Me and I love Protect Your Heart. I feel like they're all like a little bit different in their own way, but they all fall under pop. But they all have like Talk to Me as more R&B, Protect Your Heart as maybe like a pop dance, but like Latin type of feel to it. And I don't know, it's so hard to say, but I feel like those would be the two. I love Find Your Fire. I'm coming out. It's so hard.
Yeah. 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 Would you consider also writing for someone?
Yes, actually, I would. That would be kind of nice to do. I have considered that.
Yeah. Do you have songs that you've written that you didn't perform or sing?
Yes, yes, I do have a few that maybe for like future albums.
Oh, really? Okay, so would you say you probably have about 100 songs written?
Yes, I started writing when I was young, actually. Maybe like 12, 13, maybe even younger than that. And it's kind of interesting because I just have like old recordings of me.
Okay.
So it's kind of I started making YouTube videos when I was maybe 12 or 13 and making music videos. So I'm kind of like a self-taught videographer slash YouTuber.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, speaking of that, did you have formal training for your singing?
no,
Really?
never. I never did any vocal exercises. To be quite honest, it's interesting. Not that I'm opposed to it, I actually would love to learn breathing exercises. Specifically, I think that those would be very helpful, and some pitch exercises. But I've always been kind of taught to sing with such like feeling and believability, and that basically I feel like it overrides sometimes all the exercises. And I say that because I know a lot of people that they do a lot of exercises, and but yet when they sing they're thinking too much into it, that they don't hit a certain note correctly, or whatever the case may be. Whereas where you're so into the performance of it that you don't even think about it and you hit the notes correctly.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. So what are you doing to stay sharp then? Like, if you're not doing these formal exercises, do you just sing every day to practice, or?
that's the biggest thing. The biggest, I feel like that would be my best advice to someone, even starting out singing, is like, you can do all the exercises and that definitely could help you to get better and improve. But sing every day, just sing regular songs, like sing karaoke tracks.
Hmm.
No, they really do, because it helps with your pitch, it helps with even breathing, like it helps tremendously.
Yeah.
Sure.
So when you look at those old videos that you did singing, and when you're 12 and 13, what kind of reaction do you get from yourself? Are you amazed like how far you've come, or?
Yes, I feel like I am. I had a little bit of a hoarser voice back then. I'm not really sure why. um, I don't know. I don't know why, but I had that back then. So it's definitely nicer to hear me not have that as much. I'm an alto, but I feel like now I can hit, higher notes as well. That it's not so much, it's just not so much like hoarse. Like it's just not as hoarse anymore, which
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like.
yeah. Well, how high are we talking? Are we talking Mariah Carey high, Whitney Houston high? What are we talking?
Not that high. Not that, but like honestly, like props to them. Like that's amazing. they're incredible singers. And Mariah Carey came from Huntington, I believe, in Long Island. So
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that. All right, okay.
incredible. I always find that like awesome to hear about singers that came from Long Island.
Yeah, absolutely. But I would imagine that you have a ton of talent coming out of Long Island.
It's true. I believe Eddie Murphy went to the college that I went to. I believe he went to the community college that I went to.
Okay. Yeah.